the platform where we speak truth to power. I know it's a late one. Please do share this broadcast. I may not have been able to share it to others, but do endeavor to share. And I wanted to talk about Nigeria. As you know, I'm Nigerian, and I'm like anybody else. I am just as concerned about the threat of war that U.S. has brought against Nigeria. Now, whilst many people know that I am not an advocate, I don't subscribe to many of the actions of the Nigerian government, successive Nigerian government. I will state one thing, and that is that now, as Nigerians, we must pull together, and we need to ensure that the message is sent out to any country in the world that we will not tolerate any attack on us. We must state that as Nigerians. We need to state that. Greetings all. Greetings. Help me share the broadcast. And I have my own I thoughts on why I ultimately believe that the U.S. attack or plan on threatening and attacking Nigeria will end in failure. And it's for a number of reasons. And some of the reasons are largely going to be based on what's happening with Nigeria and the stance of the government. But also there are going to be external factors. There are going to be external factors, in my opinion, that I know an impact on what Trump is planning to do. Um, we should not be cowed by the threat from a supposed ally. And that is a lesson, and this is a lesson for all, Africans, that all of the colonials, whatever they promise you, when push comes to shove, you will soon enough find out that they are not in support of yourself. They are only in it for themselves. I'm talking. Look at what is happening with the U.S. now. A few months back, how many Nigerians recall that France and indeed US and others were telling uh, uh, Niger to return back to democracy, and Nigeria was planning to attack Niger. How many of us recall that? That was on the say so, and Nigeria was in the good books of US then and the allies, the France, the UK, and all of that Western country. Yes, we must uphold democracy, and we must this. We need to bring in Bazoum must come, must be put back into the into office, and all of that. Well, you know, uh, fast forward to today, to now, and Trump has made two statements in two or 3 days, stating that they are preparing to attack. And it makes clearly false allegations that Nigeria is carrying out genocide on Christians. And what it fails to mention fundamentally, and I state this, is that the US they have been funding Boko Haram via the USAID. The US, yes, you heard me say that the US have been funding Boko Haram via the USAID. But it's not mentioning that because that will not look good. Scott Perry, at the congressional hearing on USAID funding and where it's going, revealed this fact. And I will continue to mention that name. Go look it up. Just type Scott Perry and up he will pop, showing that the US were indeed funding terrorism. Now, what does that mean? The minute you understand that the US is the one that have been sending in NGOs and distributing the funds meant for relief for suffering citizens of the various countries in Nigeria and in Africa and around the world. Once you understand that they were funding Al Qaeda, the Taliban, they're funding the Boko Haram, once you understand that, then this idea, because the Trump and the US are trying to put a particular narrative out. That is to say, they care deeply for Christians, but they don't care for Muslims. Well, the thing that the Trump and his people don't understand is that in our climes we celebrate, although for me, I'm no longer um, advocating or practicing either Christianity or Islam because they are foreign to our land. Let us be clear. We have to state facts. Let us state that fact. For me, I cannot uh, envisage myself advocating or promoting any foreign religion, Islam or Christianity, on African soil because they have done enough damage. They are a tool. Those religions have been a tool of brainwashing and oppression of Africans on the African continent. And people are waking up. Now, let me just go into detail exactly about why the ploy and saying, "Oh, we're going to save Christians," is merely a ploy. Particularly as we now understand that uh, um, the U.S. were funding Boko Haram. Now, Boko Haram does not make any distinction between Christians or Muslim. The one thing they want is whatever your land, wherever they've been told there are resources, it's their right to go there, clear the people off, take control of it, and hand it to those go between who are some of whom are in government and some of who are unknown. They start attacking and using this flimsy excuse of religion as a way to propagate their lies. The Trump administration must instead, if they were sincere, they must have instead say there is genocide going on and remove any religion, be it Christian or Muslim, away from that from what they're saying, because it is clear that the U.S. do not care about Nigerians. They don't. They can say all the wise words. Look at the visa situation, visa restriction. Look at the way we are treated, as people. Um, the fact that the U.S. has facilitated this so-called this GMOs, and people are taking GMOs based on the say-so of some who believe that the GMOs would be of great help. When in actual fact, it actually does more harm. It makes you more dependent, and there's diseases. Those in government should have Nigeria should have said, no, we don't want this, and come out and state this in the clearest possible terms. Unfortunately, they haven't done so. They didn't do so. So we're left with this situation where we are now. Now, Nigeria should defend itself. And one of the things that the government of Nigeria needs to do is to rapidly restore the confidence of the people of Nigeria in the system of governance. And the best way to do that is to rapidly reconstitute the Economic Financial Crime Commission. They must reconstitute it and get it up and running, because the Nigerians have zero confidence in the Nigerian government. Nigerians no longer have confidence in the nation in terms of the governance. They have no confidence in the judiciary or the legislature or the executive or the decisions they make, because they've realized that many of those who are in government only are there to line their pockets. And like I stated, The fact that the EFCC has failed to prosecute um, over 18, maybe 40 governors in total in Nigeria is a clear sign that the Constitution of Nigeria is not serving the people of Nigeria. What is happening is that the Constitution is being used to oppress the people of Nigeria, and those who are in power, who are meant to be accountable, are not being made accountable. That is the fundamental issue right here. The fact that the US finds it increasingly difficult that many countries around the world, China, Russia, Iran, Brazil, all of these countries are beginning to go. You know what? South Africa, they're beginning to go. No, we don't have to bend to your will anymore. We know what to do. We want to take control of our land and what we do, and we are not no longer going to be cowed, and that is one of the things that the Western powers are perhaps beginning to realize, and they want to create panic and fear. They want to spread panic and fear. Oh, we're going to be attacked. Thankfully, China yesterday stepped up and said, "No, we are not going to accept this." The dialogue was being put in place, and they spoke eloquently, telling the U.S. government, "Stay away, stay away. You should not interfere in a sovereign nation." I would have thought they would have known that, since they're the ones who are screaming that they're the bastions of democracy. In actual fact, what they're doing is that democracy that they support has to be heavily populated by Europeans, and the people that they must remain steadfast to controlling, i.e., the black people who are effectively in a pen. And this is why I'm saying many people are waking up from that mental retardation that we've been put through by the system. We've been put through it, and now we want to make sure that our governance knows that whatever they do now, we are working assiduously to make sure that they are held accountable. Because now the fact that the government knows there are corrupt politicians, knows that there are corrupt politicians receive money from bandits, that should have been the focus of the government, to take out that person immediately, to isolate them, enslave them, whatever you want to call it. And that has been the issue right here. The lack of accountability prior to the prior to this invasion and everything else. And we need to really begin to call that our government, like I said, reconstitute the EFCC with the right people, take the right action. No matter how long that these people have been involved in looting, our resources and everything else, we must at the same time begin to hold them accountable, show that they are not getting away with it. Greetings to you and those who are just joining. Please share. You're listening to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Another thing I wanted to know, that the West now, including the US, they are afraid because, like I said earlier at the outset, the dollars is not being used nor accepted as a way to trade with other countries. The rest of the world are saying, no, we're tired of the dollar, and they're bypassing it already. The economic implications of that, for economy largely dependent on services and everything else, when that has been destroyed and decimated by the actions of. So, greetings all. Ladies and gentlemen, I will come back and do the second part of this broadcast. Thank you for watching. You've been listening to Season A, the platform where we speak truth to power. Thank you. Bye.